Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Local Government. Minister, can you outline any steps the government intends to take to reduce the burden of cost shifting from state to local government?
Minister for Local Government.
Firstly, I'd like to thank the honourable member for Northern Tablelands for his question and note his long-standing interest in local government matters. Madam Speaker, councils across the state at the moment are under a lot of pressure, and our new government is determined not to add to their burden through the practice of cost shifting. The issue of cost shifting to local government was ignored by the previous Labor government, which only signed the Intergovernmental Agreement, the IGA, between their government and the local government sector in the dying days of the last government. However, it's interesting to note that the same Labor government was a signatory to the National Agreement on these matters way back in 2006. So it took the former state Labor government more than 4 years, until October 2010, to enter into a similar arrangement with local government in New South Wales. And in the meantime, of course, cost shifting continued to occur under that government. The Intergovernmental Agreement with local government, signed in October 2010, establishes principles for funding and delivery of services between local government and other spheres of government. Among other things, the IGA acts as a brake on any real or perceived cost shifting by ensuring any movement of services or functions to local government has associated funding. The IGA provides that where local government is asked or required by the state or Commonwealth government to provide a service or a function, any consequential financial impact on local government is a key consideration. However, if a council decides to take on an additional service in response to community requests, that is not cost shifting. Some councils argue that cost shifting includes such things as the provision of educational or medical services. These are services provided by councils at their own discretion in response to community requests. It is not a function required by another tier of government, so it is not cost shifting. Further, some councils claim cost shifting on things such as contributions to fire services, public libraries, administration of companion animals, control of weeds, etc. But these things are mandated by legislation and are essential functions of local government. Indeed, communities expect their councils to provide these services. That's why they pay rates. Our government is of the view that the role and function of local government needs to be better understood. To identify and define what are the core functions of councils, and further, what matters are rightly the joint responsibility of state and local government, and indeed what matters are exclusively the responsibility of state governments. When this is better understood, agreement can be reached on any need for financial contribution by the state government, or alternatively the provision of revenue-raising mechanisms for councils. If new services are introduced by a council at their own discretion, then the council should consider either reducing other services or seeking a special rate variation to meet additional costs. These decisions should be made in consultation with the community. Madam Speaker, we support the objectives and the principles of the IGA. Yesterday I announced to the LGSA conference that our new government will review this agreement in partnership with the LGSA in the coming year. It is important that we review such a significant agreement in consultation with the LGSA to clarify precisely where the responsibilities fall. The IGA, as written, is full of good intentions. However, our government will consult with the local government sector to make it clearer as to exactly who is responsible for what. And where our new government is responsible, we will take that responsibility. I'm also keen to explore how the IGA can be strengthened and better focused on the issues important to the sector and the New South Wales government, so that we can avoid the sort of cost shifting that we've seen under the previous Labor government. So, Madam Speaker, it is a question that's important to local government. It has been a question that's been around for quite a while. At long last, the previous government did put in place an intergovernmental agreement between themselves and local government. This was some 4 years after they'd signed off a national agreement to do so. So is it any wonder, after 4 years' delay, that we saw a continuation of the trend by the previous government to transfer the cost of state government policy onto local government. This is what the local government sector is very concerned about. And I've given an indication, an assurance to the LGSA that we will go back to that IGA, that intergovernmental agreement, to make sure that we have a clear definition of who's responsible for what. And if there are things that we are responsible for, we will be responsible for those things, and that will change the whole situation of cost shifting in this state.
Member for Swansea.